Dan Oman, Mike Beer taking a look at race number 7 at Monmouth Park on Saturday. It kicks off a 50-cent pick four, and it's the Cliffhanger. $100,000 stakes race going a mile and a 16th on the weeds. Let's take a look at this field. A couple of horses favored on the morning line. Shipping out of a common stakes race in Maryland. Forever Super, the 7, was beaten by the 5, Data Man. Data Man got the clear run on the outside. Forever Super was sort of bottled up till too late.
Yeah, that's true. And Forever Super was the favorite that day. Maybe he won't be this time. So that could be to his advantage. And I think they're both really good. I think they're both shipping in here to a pretty good spot.
We'll throw up our Timeform US pace projector. Our friends at Timeform US do not believe this pace will be blazing. Blue bar scenario, which favors front runners, and Laughing Boy. Well, this horse has pulled off upsets in the past, Mike. 54-1 win in the Excelsior via disqualification on dirt when able to make the lead. He's run twice on turf, not badly at all. I think he's better on dirt, but he might have a pace edge.
Yeah, they've tried him sparingly on turf. There are a couple of decent performances, though. He's a little interesting in that regard, Dan, and maybe just because of this pace projector, too. I mean, if he gets loose, I guess that makes him dangerous.
Third start of the form cycle for the number 1, Wicked Finn. This horse did some good work at Monmouth last year, placing in the Red Bank Stakes, finishing ahead of There Are No Words, who are also in this field. Maybe this guy's just racing himself back into shape. He got wired in a slow-paced race at Keeneland last time.
Yeah, third off the layoff now. Did get wired in that most recent start. He didn't run great in there. That was a pretty good field. I feel like this, even though it's a stakes race now, Dan, this could be a better spot for this horse. We'll see if he's going to be able to take a step forward in this race, because I thought he ran really well. He was second in the Red Bank last September on this turf course. I thought he ran really well in that race. And if he can run like that in here, he can be there at the end.
The number 2 is There Are No Words. He's a New Jersey bred. He's placed in a couple of open stakes races at Monmouth last year. Now, he'll be making his first start since October, a second level allowance at Laurel, which he won. He was very, very game to win. I thought this was a solid pace overall. They really were clicking the second quarter, 22-4, opens up the lead, and the wire comes just in the nick of time. The runner-up would come back to score at this level with an 88 buyer.
He was in good form on the way into this race, and he got the job done here. He's getting a little desperate at the end, but he runs pretty well in here. Everybody's closing on him. Pretty good performance off the layoff now. It's not an easy spot for him, but I like his tactical speed, and his best race gives him a real chance in here. He's a fair price on the line.
The 3, Laughing Boy, the expected speed in this race, yet to win on turf, but he's only run twice, and his most recent start on the turf was late last summer at Delaware, and he was just carrying a lot of ground every step of the way, and still was kicking on pretty well to be third behind a gate-to-wire winner. I think this horse does have some ability. He's been in too tough in his last few races. If he gets loose, he has a chance, especially at those odds. You might not want to sleep on him completely.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that he could make the lead in here and take him a long way. I guess you want to keep an open mind about him. Jacobson does this a lot. He seems to run these horses in weird spots, and you're never really sure what you're going to get. I mean, he's not my kind of horse, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was sort of on the lead at the top of the stretch and then see what happens.
He's Pure Gold is another New Jersey bred who's done a lot of good work at Monmouth, winning 5 of 8 lifetime starts. And he got a prep race and an allowance for a very good trainer in Kelly Breen last time out at Gulfstream. I thought all in all, he's had a pretty good trip that day, but the pace was solid. He might have needed it first off the bench. I'm expecting a better performance. He's a consistent soar. I need a little more than 4-1.
Yeah, I don't think I'd bet him at that price either, but everything else that you said about him is true, Dan. I mean, he can get a good trip in this race, and now he's second off the layoff. After getting in that prep race down at Gulfstream Park. I mean, it's just looking at his overall turf form, I think it's pretty clear that he can contend in here, but he might need to catch a break or two to come out on top.
We'll take a look at Dataman's 4-year-old debut. This is in the Henry Clark Stakes at Laurel. He's the gray on the outside. There's not a lot of pace in here. You've got Forever Super in the red cap. Forever Super had a good trip until it wasn't. There's just no room for him to go through, and Dataman's just going to simply get the jump on him. Forever Super's eventually going to angle to the outside and come with his kick, but it's a little bit too late. Dataman got it done despite failing to change leads.
Yeah, listen, the runner up there, or the third place finisher, Forever Super, he had the trouble late in the race. I think that's the trouble most people will focus on. Dataman had some trouble early in the race, though, and sort of lost position. I thought they both ran well. I thought Dataman overall ran the better race, Dan, and I just really appreciate this is a horse who I feel like was just starting to get good at the end of last year as a 3-year-old, took a step forward off the layoff last time. I think there is still room for more improvement with this horse. This horse is pretty good, I think.
I talked to Graham Motion about this guy earlier this month. He said he was considering the dinner party. He just wanted to give him one more week. He thought the Clark off the layoff was a little bit of a tough effort. I got to look at his most recent workout, and he changed leads on cue that day. So I'm expecting Data Man perhaps to be a little bit more professional in this spot. General Jim, in some ways, is the key to this race, Mike, because he has shown hints of being a useful horse, both on dirt and on turf. His most recent race was on the main track. It was a high-level allowance, and he probably needed the race. And his most recent turf race, the Hall of Fame, well, that was against three next-out winners, some of the best turf horses in the country. So I think his form is dirtied up a little bit. And with that race under his belt, I think Shug will have him tight.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. He's a real wild card in this race. I don't know what you're really going to get. His last few races really aren't that good. I'm not even sure what his best surface is. I don't know if he's better on turf or if he's better on dirt. But this horse, I agree with you. I think he's dirtied up in here. And at anything like that morning line price, I could easily use this horse.
Graded stakes winner on the dirt with enough tactical speed that if this pace is slow, he could be right up there. Should be in the thick of things when they turn for home. Now the question is, can he still run anymore? 7 is Forever Super. We saw his effort last time out when he finished third behind Data Man as the odds-on favorite. He was coming into that race in very good form. Michael Trombetta just managed him perfectly. Found a couple of Florida-bred spots where on paper he was going to be tough. He won both of those stakes races. He's improving.
Yeah, he is. I liked his wins 2 and 3 starts back. I really appreciate that he has tactical speed, Dan. So I feel like he can get the right trip in this race, even if that pace projector is correct. I mean, ultimately, his rider, we saw the replay before that, he just spent way too much time waiting for a hole to open up in the stretch. And once that hole didn't open, there was just no way that he could win. I still thought that he ran pretty well in there. I'm not sure that he's going to be able to turn the tables on Data Man in here, but maybe the trips will work out differently this time.
California Frolic hasn't won a race in over 2 years. That was a synthetic stake at Gulfstream. He's run some decent races subsequently, second in the 2022 Virginia Derby. His most recent start was his first race off a little bit of a layoff, kind of a slow-paced race. California Frolic was stalking. All in all, he ran on okay to be third. He needs to improve, but he does have some back races that make him mildly interesting, and I think he's tactical enough that he won't be compromised if the pace is slow.
Yeah, he ran okay in this race. This is a pretty solid allowance field. There's nothing wrong with this performance, Dan. We'll see what we get from him now. Second start back. He's got a lot to prove, especially in races like this. But I don't feel like, just by looking at him overall and taking his turf races apart, I don't think he's necessarily overmatched by these horses.
I wonder if the 9 Duke of Gloucester's slightly better on the main track, winning an off-turf heat at Monmouth last time out. That was a little less than 2 weeks ago. Ran well on the turf at Aqueduct 2 starts back, although it looked like he got some pace. I know that race was won in gate-to-wire fashion, but I think that winner was okay. He came with a nice run. He's got to do a lot more on the turf. He's, I think, 0 for 6 on the surface.
Yeah, it's not an easy spot for this. So I'm with you on his turf race too. Back, I mean, he ran okay in there. And the winner of that race, he doesn't win very often. That horse is actually pretty good. This horse ran fine in there. I think he has to run even better than that though against these horses.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the feature at Monmouth on Saturday. We're both going with Data Man. I agree with Mike. He looked like he was getting good last year. He always had a lot of potential, and I think he might be coming into his own at the right time.
Yeah, me too. I think this is a great spot for this horse to run back. And I get that Forever Super had the trouble last time, but I'm really not convinced it was going to make that much of a difference.
5764 for Mike, 5742 for me in the cliffhanger at Monmouth on Saturday. Best of luck.